Oje Changi Om Nyuto And let's do the 4 limitless contemplations. I think it's after that, Eager. Thank you. May all beings have happiness and create the causes of happiness. May they all be free from suffering and creating the causes of suffering. May they find that noble happiness which can never be tainted by suffering. May they attain universal impartial compassion, free of worldly bias towards friends and enemies. Sem jindam je dewa tang dewe ju tang dem pa ju chik dungal chi ju tang drawa ju chik dungal mepe dewa tampa tang mindra wa ju chik ne ring chak tang ni tang drawe tang lom chempo la ne pa ju chik. Just give him little ones. Okay, thanks, Eager. That was beautiful, Eager. She did it so beautifully to do it because Fiona can't be here tonight. So that's absolutely stunning. Thank you so much for doing it so well. So tonight we're going to go to part 2. I'm just going to give it to you now, how I wrote it down originally. I've got so many notes here and so many things here. Just let me get to it. Comparing the third afterlife Bardo of becoming with your life in samsara. So we're doing a comparison of these two for a very important reason. And what I want from all you, hello Linz, I'm happy to see you. What I want from all of you is I want you to butt in. I really want you to butt in because I feel that it's so important, so important for you to take this as your preparation for after death, your preparation for this life and your preparation to free yourselves before you get to the third Bardo of becoming. But to understand that Bardo and to compare it with your life here is an amazing thing. And I really don't mind how many questions you ask. Richard said, sorry for asking so many questions. I said, not at all. Ask whatever questions you want, because it's really important that you ask your questions and that you know what you are doing. This is for you. You know, my husband says when I ask him afterwards, it's very complex, this teaching. It's really very complex. I said, yeah, maybe it is if you hear it for the first time, okay? But actually, when you start playing with the Bardo teachings, when you start bringing them really into your heart, they actually become second nature. And then what you realize, what I realize, the more I teach it and the more I study it, what I realize, which is so important, is that as you incorporate these teachings into yourself, it's the most amazing thing because they change. Because when your perspective changes, you don't need all that black and white stuff. You actually need to feel it more than you need to know every drop of it. So I'm going to start with a very interesting little story. Again, it's Rachel Rem, and I always use her stories for death and dying because she does such beautiful things. So this was when she was a little young girl, an adolescent. She says, as an adolescent, I had a summer job working as a volunteer companion in a nursing home for the aged. The job began with a 2-week intensive training about communicating with the elderly. There seemed to be a great deal to remember, and what had begun as a rather heartfelt way to spend a teenage summer quickly became a regimented set of techniques and skills for which I would be evaluated by the nursing staff. She was only about 16 or something. By the first day of actual patient contact, I was feeling very anxious. It's absolutely beautiful because she took what she did in her adolescence, and when she became a doctor and then a pediatrician, she applied her very spiritual knowledge to everything she was doing. But this was when she was a teenager. My first assignment was to visit with a 96-year-old woman who had not spoken for more than a year. A psychiatrist had diagnosed her as having senile dementia, but she had not responded to medication. The nurses doubted that she would talk to me, but hoped I could engage her in a mutual activity. I was given a large basket filled with glass beads of every imaginable size and color. We would string beads together. I was to report back to the nursing station in an hour. I did not want to see this patient. Her great age frightened me, and the word senile dementia suggested that not only was she far older than anyone I'd met, she was crazy too. Filled with foreboding, I knocked on the closed door of her room. There was no answer. Opening the door, I found myself in a small room lit by a single window, which faced the morning sun. Two chairs had been placed in front of the window. In one sat a very old lady looking out of the window. The other was empty. I stood just inside the door for a time, but she didn't acknowledge my presence, and uncertain of what to do next, I went to the empty chair and sat down, the basket of beads on my lap. She didn't even seem to notice that I had come. For a while, I tried to find some way in my head to open conversation. I was painfully shy at this time, which was one of the reasons my parents had suggested I take this job, and I would have had a hard time even in less difficult circumstances. The silence in the room was absolute. Somehow it seemed almost rude to speak, yet I desperately wanted to succeed in my task. I considered and discarded all the ways of making conversation suggested in the training. None of them seemed possible. The old woman continued to look toward the window, her face half hidden from me, barely breathing. Finally, I simply gave up and sat with the basket of glass beads on my lap for a full hour, and it was quite peaceful. The silence was broken at last by the little bell which signified the end of the morning activity. Taking hold of the basket again, I prepared to leave, but I was only 14. I thought she was 16. I was only 14, and curiosity overcame me. Turning to the old woman, I asked, "What are you looking at?" Okay, I immediately flushed. Prying into the lives of residents was strictly forbidden. Perhaps she hadn't heard, but she had. Slowly she turned towards me, and I could see her face for the first time. It was radiant. In a voice filled with joy, she said, "Why, child, I am looking at the light." Very interesting. Many years later, as a pediatrician, I would watch newborns look at light with that same rapt expression, almost as if they were listening for something. Fortunately, I had not been able to find a way to interrupt. Fortunately, a 96-year-old woman may stop speaking because arteriosclerosis has damaged her brain, or she's become psychotic and she's no longer able to speak. But she may also have withdrawn into a space beneath two worlds to contemplate what is next, to spread her sails and patiently wait to catch the light. I had found her by accident, or maybe by grace, because much later she did all this work with death and dying, so this was in her very early years. I've often wondered what would have happened had I been the highly trained technical physician I would shortly become. At that time, I would not have known how to find her and sit with her, how to learn from her about silence and trusting life. Now, many years later, I hope that I do, and she certainly does. But what a beautiful story. A woman that never spoke, okay? So what spoke? She hadn't spoken for years. But when you asked her a question regarding what her exactly nature of mind could actually tell you, she was able to speak perfectly logically and perfectly beautiful and tell you exactly what she was doing. Now, I've chosen this story because for me, it is so extremely important that while we are walking the pathway in life, at the same time, we are fully and totally cognizant and aware that this is just the movie drama that we are walking along, and that there is another whole part of us that is absolutely and totally untainted, untouched by whatever shenanigans we've gotten up to in this life. Our beautiful nature of mind does not mind in any way of what we have done and how we have been and how we have been. It is completely independent. Now, when you take senile people and you speak to them, and you speak to them to their nature of mind, not to their physical human brain, they can answer, as I've always told you that story with my aunt, who, when I was teaching her, she asked something about death. She was very confused about everything. And I told her about it. And then I said, I'm really tiring you now. And she said, no, she used to call me Melly. She said, no, Melly, it's exquisite in the most perfect English and the most perfectly logical way. So when you have even senile people in your life, when you are able to go beyond the human self, you are able to touch their nature of mind. And as all of us walk along this pathway, we also need to keep every few minutes of our life to touch and remember that nature of mind, especially when we're struggling, especially when things aren't working out the way we'd really like them to. It's really, really important. And I was listening to La Melanie tonight, and she said someone asked her about the Hatha Yoga, the Dzogchen meditation practice, and said, should they do this? Should they do that? And she said, actually, the Dzogchen highest meditation practice is just doing nothing, no thing, just being present. That's all. Now, that's such an important thing, because Dzogchen Ponlop, when he was writing his book on the Bardos, he quoted Shakespeare on the Bardo of becoming, the third Bardo of today. And he said, to be or not to be, that is the question, okay? As Shakespeare answered. You must all go and see that movie, Hamlet. It's really so spiritual and so beautiful. You really must. And it's the story of Shakespeare. Might be a made-up story, but it's absolutely, for me, very spiritual and very to be or not to be, losing a child and what they went through as a couple, and how he wrote his play based on that, very, very beautifully used it. I found it a very interesting movie. I think you should watch it. Okay, so when we ask that question, to be or not to be, and I'll throw it open just now, what do we want to be? Parents ask kids as they start growing up, what do you want to be? Little boys might want to be a fireman, or like their dad, or go into their dad's business, or a doctor like my father, or something like that. Little girls might want to be like their moms at first, and later they might want to be everything their mother isn't. Okay, they might have changed their mind later on and not be anything like their mom. It's a changing role that we play in the bardo of life, what we do. The nearer we come to enlightenment, the nearer we come, what's enlightenment mean? The nearer we come to recognizing, you have to have that word in your vocabulary, recognizing. That means re-knowing, recognizing, re-knowing your true nature, remembering our true nature, the more the role becomes a true service role. Okay, the more you do. In order to reach ultimate being, we have to move past the roles, the masquerades, the temporary transitory states of being. The less we know this, the harder life is after death for us, because the habits kick in. And once we get to the Bardo of becoming, the third Bardo, which Guru Rinpoche called, I was telling you last week, the Bardo of karmic possibilities. And note the word possibilities, because it doesn't mean you fully go with your impelling consciousness into the karma. It means you use the karma, which is full of possibilities, which is really so interesting. We'll talk about it and you can ask about it. But the bardo between birth and death, which we're living in now, is also one of karmic possibilities. Any day, any moment, right now that you wake up and say, I'm just not Melanie, I'm much more. I touch that part of me every day. The minute you're able to say that, everything changes. And the deeper the habitual karmic imprints, the stronger the impelling consciousness taking you to the same old stuff. I want you to just ask yourself the question right now. How many times have I been through this before? Whatever you're struggling with, how many times have you been through it before? Ask yourself that question before you go to sleep and tell me the answer next time. I want to know how many times you've done this before. Because the minute you know that nature of mind, you will know how many times you have done this before and why you are getting the same mirror-like wisdom that you've had before and before and before and before and a million times before, and you've never been able to see. Really, really. Marion Cassidy, you look beautiful tonight. I'm just watching you. You're sort of lighter than usual and you look gorgeous tonight. I'm just watching you a little bit in the back of my mind, okay? So the more we go into samsara, the more we inhabit our temporary role, okay, the less choice we have. Can I please say that again? The more we go on and on and on with our karmic habitual imprints and don't change them, the stronger is the impelling consciousness, because there's a part of you that really wants to change this and wants to finish it and wants to get there. So choose now what you want to be. You know, I've often sat and reckoned with myself when I've been sitting, or I'm going through a difficult time, or I'm going through a bad time. I've said to myself, what is it that you really want to be? And I came to the conclusion that teaching people to be enlightened is what I really want to be. And when I die, I want to go straight into the Pure Lands to start my teaching. In other words, that's the role I really want to play, feel most comfortable with, and really want to evolve it. So even if I'm in a small group like tonight, I know this is a rehearsal. How do you do it, Melanie? Are you able to see into people? Are you able to translate the teachings so that people can understand? These are all the things that I have tasked myself with in my true role. The other roles are just temporary, transient. If you're going out to dinner with people, it's a temporary, transient role, whatever it is. And please, Kati, go for it.
So Mel, So yeah, I mean, for me, I want to live authentically, and that means really mastering the material world. But actually, what I realize more and more is that that's pretty private because you can't live authentically in this world. There are some very angry people out there, and there are some very insecure people. There are some people that don't want you to live authentically. So somebody told me years
Define
ago,
authentically. Please define
well,
authentically for me.
so I can only define it for me, my perception of it, because everybody will have a different perception of what it means to live um,
Authentic,
authentically. So for
right.
me, it's living with a Dharma heart. It's when life throws me challenges, it's me going, yes, thank you. Um, it's when stuff goes wrong, it's like me saying, yeah, thank you. It's being warm, being positive, being optimistic in the world. It's doing practice. It's taking every opportunity in this path, in this realm, to live and to work hard on every level with myself and to grow spiritually, emotionally, mentally, and physically. But years ago, somebody said to me, be yourself, but don't show everybody.
I love that. That's the best statement you made of the whole lot.
I
Okay.
know, and
What
it's
does it
taken me a
mean?
long time to learn that
Yeah.
because I'm sorry, there are special teachers. Yeah, we have to thank these people, but yeah, we thank them, but we can also go thank you, but close the door and nail it shut with not just wood, but metal pieces. Do you know what I mean?
No, no, that's wrong. That's not right. I love what you're saying. Okay.
Yeah.
Mute yourself when I'm talking, otherwise the videos go a bit crazy. Then you can unmute again. You know what? What you're saying is so interesting because you've got no idea how many times it's not that I'm not being authentic, but I'm listening to a conversation that is absolutely inane for me. It's not, doesn't necessarily mean it's unintellectual, but we have a lot of friends, people we're friendly with, who are really, really quite intellectual people. They're doctors, they're professionals, they're those kind of people. And many times when they have a discussion, I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, I could just put a word in here and change, the whole thing. But it's of no value because there would be not one of them that would be able to absorb that in any way. So I think that is what the point is, that when you are with people that do not understand, okay, you might do, my favorite thing was always this girl at this wedding who was piling her plate full of dessert, okay, and then I looked at her. I really wasn't looking at her to be critical. I was looking at her because actually I was admiring that she didn't feel self-conscious about piling all the cream puddings in. And I was thinking, should I have that? Should I have this? Should I have all these things? And she said to me at this wedding, I didn't know from a bar of said, well, you only live once. And all I said was, I didn't say, oh no, you don't. You have many lifetimes and all this. I didn't say that. I just said, do you? Okay, so you learn. And she said, what do you mean? And I said, figure it out for yourself. Okay, and off I went. But I said, enjoy your dessert anyway. You have to be clever, witty to be yourself. You can't go giving people lectures that they don't want. You know what I mean? And many times, even when somebody's really grumpy and you come in and you go, like my husband has a way, he's always joking with the waitresses, with everything, and they kill themselves laughing. And I think, oh my God, another one of those jokes. And they love it. I mean, you have to be tolerant with people, and you can't always be your Dharma self, and you can't always be your genuine self. You have to fit in with people. You can't be some strange entity, because then you don't have the power of magnetizing people to you. I think that people are magnetized to you when you don't give them lectures and throw everything at them. I think they must be magnetized because of your presence. And I see with these amazing lamas, they get thousands of people coming to them. You know, they have a magnetizing light presence without even saying a word. So I love what you're saying. But just remember, we have to learn also in this role that we can't just play it straight through. We've got to learn to be diplomatic with it, to look at someone else and see where they are coming from and how much they can absorb, rather than shoving your stuff down their throat. It's not good. Right, Kat?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I hear what you're saying.
Yeah,
And slowly and surely I'm learning to be more skillful.
yeah,
But with some people, even if you do all that stuff,
yeah.
it's still they
They don't like
still
you.
they don't like, and that's fine. I'm happy with not everybody liking me. But
Yeah,
I agree with you that oversharing is just gonna get me into trouble. So I'm learning and I've learned a
good,
lot. And
good.
yeah.
Amazing. You have changed a lot since I've known you, a lot. But while you're bringing that point up, which I'm going to teach later, I want to take these sessions slowly so that you can ask and debate and everything. But what you're saying is, they just don't like me. Now, that particular thing called attraction and aversion, or attachment and aversion, that is one of the biggest things in this bardo of this life. And in the third bardo, attachment and aversion, or attraction and aversion, either one. Now, you've just made that point there. You've said, certain people just don't like me. I agree with you. When I first came into the Dharma, and Lama Yeshe Rinpoche and Ekong Rinpoche pointed me as a teacher very early on. And I remember coming to a retreat, and Rob Nairn said, Melanie, you must come and sit next to me on the cushion. And I was very new to the Dharma, but I had been appointed, And I said, no, 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 I'll just sit at the back. Thank you. And I remember him coming in the morning and bowing and saying hello to me, and I wasn't on the cushion. And I remember certain people in the group, it was quite a big group, hated me. Kathy, I could feel their aversion to me. It was obviously a lot of jealousy. They were really, really angry about it, okay? And the thing is that attraction and aversion comes from our karmic imprints, from our habits. That's why people get like that. They really get jealous and averse, or very attracted to something. And either of those in extreme, aversion can lead to even murder. Okay, it can go that far that it leads to murder. And attraction can lead to the most terrible things, because if you look at the Epstein files, I mean, what was it with all these famous people who were attracted to the idea of having sexual intercourse with young girls, and the slavery and things like that? I mean, what would make one attracted to that, especially if you have a kind of a high position in life and things like that? And you read those stories, I get absolutely horrified. And I think that when we are walking our journey, we have to keep assessing attraction and aversion, or attachment and aversion. Those are the two adjectives that belong in this bardo and in the bardo of becoming. They both really belong there, and there's something we have to be aware of. And if you want, later on, I think it's in here, in the Sacred Compass, which is a book by Nam Thupten, a very, very good book on the bardos. he does a whole chapter on attraction and aversion, but we won't do that right now. We'll come back to it if you're interested in it. But in his book, the Bardo teachings, he says, are like a sacred compass. A sacred compass. They remind us not to get attached to anything in this world, to where we are now in our lives, stop, to where we are now in our lives, or to the affairs of our life. Please take one of them out, would you? I can't do this. So we have to not be attached in any way or any form to any of the things. So they encourage us, says Anam Thupten, to be in this world, but not of this world. A very important factor, to be in this world, but not of this world. So where do we belong? Where do we belong? We could say we belong to primordial purity. We belong to our nature of mind. The Bardo teachings, we belong to our essence. The Bardo teachings are not esoteric knowledge. They are practical teachings that help us to live, to die, and even to continue consciously with intrinsic awareness and courage. That's what they are. It is really, really important that you all understand that. He wants to sit there and he wants to sit there. So can you take... They're fighting because the one wants to sit on this side and the one wants to sit on that side. Two little boys. You're in the animal realm, you two, and you're very lucky that I give you the Dharma every day and that you do prostration. But bad behavior in a Dharma group will not help you to become human. That's all. So it's important, very important for us to really know that we belong to our essence, to our primordial purity. And the Bardo teachings, when you really get them into your system, they are not esoteric teachings. They are really practical teachings that give you advice. How you walk this life, how you journey in this life is how you will die. There is no doubt about that. And it's important, very important to point out for all of us that even if we have failed many, many times in this life, there is always, always another opportunity, open portal to unity with your true nature, a chance to change all the time. The inner door, the door to inner freedom is not locked, ever. Okay? You could change your mind right now. It is not cast in stone. Absolutely, you can change your mind right now. And if you do, like I say to people, if you start putting out what you have, immediately the universe will respond to you. You will get the things you want. You will get the places you need to be. You may get a lot of hits on the way because you've created that, but you will get absolutely everything that you need. And I want you to understand that there's always another chance. And in Tibetan culture, many people ask, wise Lama, so where will I take rebirth in the next life? Wise Lamas, says Anam Thupten, have a wise saying. If you want to know where you will take rebirth in the next life, look at where your current mind is. Look at where your current mind is. That will give you your answer to where you'll be. Once somebody asked the Lama, what is reincarnation? He answered, it is the recycling of your bad habits. The recycling of your bad habits. So best, we better get that awareness of our bad habits. And as soon as you've got the awareness of the bad habits, you need to take that beautiful nature of mind and say to it, help me. Help me now to see what I have to see. Help me to open my eyes of wisdom. Help me to complete everything I've come to complete. It's so important. Anyone want to ask or say? It's really, really important. Please, Kati, you and I are having dialogue.
Yeah, well, Mel, I just want to share with the group because I've been carrying on about this colleague, this special teacher of mine for a
Yes,
year,
yes.
and so it's over because I've got literally a brand new, fresh slate start coming up with an amazing opportunity that's
Wonderful.
going to be a test, I think, of everything I've learned because I'm going to be working with the president of the university. It's literally a promotion starting in 2.5 weeks. So it's like now it's like I've got to everything that I've learned, I'm going in with that. So yeah, Mel, any advice from you or anybody is like because it's a brand new, fresh slate, massive opportunity to
Just
start
one
new.
word of advice, one. And you know what that
Yes.
is?
Yeah.
Start your day connecting with your true nature. That's it. And do your guru yoga. Let the beautiful, all your bodies that you've got, let them all be connected. And just get on your hands and knees and just say, like I do every day, get on your hands and knees and saying, I'm offering my whole being to what I'm doing. I'm offering the beauty that I've learned. I'm offering the Dharma that I've learned. All I want is to be placed in situations where I can serve and I can help and I can truly understand. Nothing else. Because when you have that motivation, it will be there. That's what the masters and all the worlds and all the Buddhas are trying to make us realize. They're trying to bring us into alignment with our true natures. So when you say out to the universe, hey, I'm struggling. My habits are tippling me over. Please, I can't get rid of this. I can't get further than this. Help me, please. You will find that help comes instantly. It's right there in your because the universe, the essence is waiting for you to recognize that. Once you do, you're out of the habit. Once you're out of the habit, you're going to liberate yourself in the beginning of your death and dying, if not now. It's so
Ma-
important. Please,
yeah,
Mark.
question, just because you used that word universe. So what, I mean, I've got a feeling, but anyway, so when we say we praying to Guru Rinpoche or we praying to the medicine Buddha, now you're
Yeah,
saying pray to the universe.
yeah,
Is it all the same?
all the
Uh,
same.
yeah, okay.
All we're doing is we're just praying to enlightened beings that have passed, that have gone before. But we're not praying to those enlightened beings. We're just asking for their assistance
Mm.
to help us to be able to change these patterns. I scream every day to everybody, these patterns, stop them. How do I stop them? I can't help myself. You stop them with full awareness, nothing else. You just are aware. I did it again. Doesn't matter. I'm not going to do it next time. Oh my God, I did it again. Oh my God, I fell into the trap again. It doesn't matter. You know that autobiography in just mute yourself, Mark. You know that autobiography in 5 chapters. I walk down the street. I'll tell it to you again. Lots of you know it. I walk down the street. I fall in a hole. It takes me hours to get into out of the hole. I can't get there. I'm climbing and climbing. I get there and continue down the street. Chapter 2, I walk down the same street. I fall into the same hole, but I get out a lot quicker this time. And walk down the road. Chapter 3, I walk down the road. I still fall in. I know it's a habit. I really can overcome it. Chapter 4, I walk down the street and I walk around the hole and go on with my pathway. Chapter 5, I walk down another street. Okay, you walk down another street. You just don't fall into the trap with the people. You don't fall into the addictions. You don't fall into the mind poison. You don't fall into the attraction and the aversion. But it takes a long time, sometimes more than one bardo of life. But once you get it, once you see what your pattern is, what you do, once you see, you get aggressive and you fight back, or you get passive and you withdraw from everything. When you see that pattern, you just ask to please change it. And it changes completely. You get another chance and another chance and another chance.
I had a few things to ask or say. That's cool.
Please, Richard, please do.
I walk down the streets, I fall in the hole, and sometimes, I spend a long time just sitting there. So I'm not actually spending a lot of time climbing out of that hole until I need to. But I don't know about the first two bardos of the afterlife, but it seems like the third bardo is more like a bardo before life.
Yes.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Which makes me wonder what happened in my bardo before this life.
Yeah.
Bardo becoming before this life.
Brilliant.
And is there like any way to gain insights into that?
You know what? It's very interesting. Just mute yourself when I'm talking and then you can unmute again. Very interesting, because I need you first to ask yourself, why do I sit in a hole? Okay, because my instinct is very different to your instinct. Because if I fall in a hole, I am going to use every bit of my ability to get out of that hole. Your habit momentum, you are going to sit in the hole because why? Because your habit is dark. Okay, your habit. If you can sit in a hole and not struggle to get out, then your habitual pattern is darkness. Now, I know so many people whose habitual patterns are darkness, okay? Then just do me a favor and shout from the hole, somebody come and help me get out. And you'll get a response. I'll be there. Okay, I'll be there. I'm going to come not only with my hands, which will never be able to pull you out, I'm going to come with ropes, and I'm going to come with mantras, and I'm going to come with teaching, and I'm going to get you out of that hole. Okay? But it's so interesting what you're saying, because you know how many people sit in the hole. So many people sit in the hole and prefer the dark. And you know what? That habit momentum. Now, when you ask, how can I know what I did in the Bardo of becoming in the last time? Such a fascinating question. Answered exactly the same way as that Lama answered the guy, where will I take rebirth? And he said, when he said, where am I going to take rebirth? I was reading you that. He said, if you want to know where you're going to take rebirth, look at where your current mind is. So if you want to know where you were in the Bardo of becoming, Look at your current life and where your mind is now. If your mind is falling into some kind of hole and not getting out, then you know that in the Bardo of becoming, your impelling consciousness, you've got an impelling consciousness on the wheel of life, pulls you into something else. But in the Bardo teachings, they teach you how not to go into a womb in 1 minute. Because when you're sitting in the Bardo of becoming and you're watching your habits, many people, I've had many people that I've had dreams with. I've gone to try and help them in the sleep state, and I've had dreams with them. And what happens is many people don't want to look at their stuff, but when you're in the Bardo of becoming, you've got no choice because you're in a mental body. So what you think appears in front of you. What you think appears in your body. That's what happens in the Bardo of becoming. So when you want to know what happened to you, look at your life now. And all of you, ask yourself the question, not only Richard, ask yourself the question, what am I doing right now? Am I fulfilling my purpose? Am I giving service to lots of people? I don't care if it's sitting on the pavement helping someone, or if it's just walking into a shop and there's a little child there and the child's crying and you pick the child up or you help them in some way, or like you did, Iga, you went and these teenagers were crying at the side of the road and she got off her bike and went and got all involved in their whole story and everything. Doesn't matter. That's what we're here for. That's what we're here for. And when people start asking you, when I was going past one of the cashiers and she says to me, I'm in such trouble. I've gone and fallen pregnant or something she'd done or another, that she was really in trouble and she needed to work and everything. And I thought to myself, have I got a sign written here saying, I'll help deal with your problem? How did she know? She hadn't said one word to me. How did she know? It was safe to entrust me with that knowledge. That's how we've all got to become. We've got to become in this life someone that people can trust, someone that people can have faith in, not someone judging, but someone that people can have faith in, someone that people trust to help them out of the hole. And then you can tell what your Bardo of becoming. I'll tell you exactly what your Bardo of becoming showed you. And you're still running. You're still running, either sitting in the hole or running. Stop running. Stay still. All of you, this applies to, not just Richard. Stay still. And when those ugly feelings and ugly habits come up in all of us, we allow them to come up. We allow them space. And we just observe them without analyzing them, picking them up, taking ownership, putting them here, doing this, doing that. We just allow them to come up. And what happens when we allow them to come up is everything that comes out of the essence, good, bad, or indifferent, the essence doesn't discern. It just allows it to come up, and then it allows it to dissolve. So if you give even these habits space and openness, and allow them to come up and allow them to dissolve, they will be over. They will be able to stop clinging to you as your habitual momentum. Robert, what are you thinking?
No, it sounds good. I agree.
Oh, that's very good. I'm happy one person agrees. That's really good. I'm very, very pleased. Viam, what are you thinking?
Hello, Mel, everybody. Many things. We're going through the through everything because everything is always everything. I'm just philosophizing while you're talking, but okay, just from that last thing, it made me think of this Minga Rinpoche retreat last year with beautiful on the second contemplation that he talks about. It says on impermanence, everything. Like the waves of the ocean, I will embrace everything that happens to me in my life and make it my friend. So this thing of the it's the perspective change, right? Of like, oh my these habits and these things that are always tricking me. Now I'm in this resentment again with this family member or with this coworker or with this I eat too much or whatever the thing is. There's always something, right? And it's always like I've got to fix that. It's dualistic. So I'm past this thing where I want to fix things in dualism. I'm just like focusing from the inside, and then everything
Good.
will naturally get better on the outside. If the focus is in the right place, like you said in the morning, connect with the primordial essence from the big view, from the ultimate view. Approach this relative life. Because you can't figure out the ultimate from a relative perspective, from a relative mindset, right? From the dualistic thing. So if I make whatever these things are that are presenting themselves as life goes on, my friend, I'm like, hey, pull up a chair here in my mind. I'm not going to shun you. I'm not going to hit you with the shame and the judgment and the self-hate, because that doesn't do anything. That just compounds the thing. Now I'm sitting with suffering and suffering of suffering, more suffering on top of the suffering. So instead of, and then that self-liberation that you always talk about, it starts happening when in that space of awareness, I can allow that in my mind. That's something I feel guilty about or shameful or whatever. And then just see that through the primordial essence vision, not for a moment, then it becomes like the space opens up, for the healing. The healing is just a word for the perception that changes, because ultimately there's no me that can judge anything else. Ultimately, there's no me to judge another person or me to judge myself. That's such a weird concept. I'm judging me. Like, what's going on? What are we talking about?
Anyway, yeah.
Yeah, how can I judge me? That's two things already. Judging itself.
Yeah.
So but we're so conditioned. There's so much, like, that's what I'm saying. This type of topic is layered. It's quite layered because we get brought up, in all of us, in different families. Some may be conservative, some may be no parents, some maybe, but there's, and all of that obviously has an influence, and that is also obviously our karmic, imprints that brought us to this life. But so
Exactly.
much of that can almost be inherited ways of looking at the world, and then becoming quite robust in those views and not having the open-mindedness to challenge yourself on those views, and then you actually just, it's difficult to break out of that stuff. Even in neurologically, you just start laying those pathways. And so the Dharma is such a beautiful thing to create space and to allow yourself to view yourself and society without judgment, because once you get those understanding of the primordial view, then there's judgment is an illusion.
No
But you
judgment.
I have to sit and make space. Like, it's in the normal day-to-day to life, we always
So do we
reacting, and it's
all.
always in survival mode, so it's difficult to do it in real time on the spot. So
No, I agree with you, and I agree with everything you're saying. And I think it's so important what you're saying, because the thing is that we all have the ability to change the circumstances of our life. And the change is already inherent in your true nature, because that's what you're actually doing here in this bardo. You're learning to change, because the bardo you were in before catapulted you into this. People go, oh, it's my parents' DNA. There's really no such a thing. It might be your parents' DNA from which you inherit something, but the only reason you inherit it is because your impelling consciousness of your own habitual imprints causes you to come to those parents who've got the DNA and to be born into that situation and learn to deal with it. If you've got parents that cannot emotionally give you what you've needed all your life, that might not have abused you, but they can't see you and they can't give you what you need, that's a brilliant assessment for you, because it clearly means that you somewhere had that habitual pattern where you could not see people. You could not see them for who they were. So now you've come into this impelling consciousness, has brought you into this family who can't see you for who you are. So what do you have to do? Do you rebel against them? Do you leave them? What do? You actually look at them in a deep, deep mirror. You look and you say, my goodness, I got these parents because what I needed to learn was, and you fill in the gap of what you needed to learn. And please learn it quickly, quickly. Don't waste this whole life trying to learn it and trying to fight, getting your parents to see you differently. It's so funny because when I look at my children, when your children grow up, they've got bigger mouths than ever when they were little, They are the ones that tell you exactly what to do and how to do it. And sometimes I'm listening to my children and, they make a statement about me. I've just met my two sons in Cape Town now. The one came from overseas and they're telling you all these things about you. And, I just remember a long time ago, I would have fought against that. I would have said, no, that's not how I feel. That's not what I am. Why can't you see who I am? I'm not like I was before. I'm different now. But suddenly it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all what anyone thinks. It doesn't matter to justify who you are. It really doesn't matter. It matters that you are honest with yourself, even if you can't always be honest with other people. We are in this bardo. What is a bardo? A bardo is a gap between 2 points. We are only in a gap between 2 points, birth and death. Coming into birth with all our imprints and our habitual things, moving through this life, hopefully meeting the Dharma, meeting your true nature, meeting the essence, and making vast changes in yourself. You've got to come to the portal of death different to who you were. And it's hard, it's challenging. It really is. Do you want to say something, Kat? Oh, okay. It's really, really, really hard. But this life is a temporary, transient thing, and everything in it, that's what Samsara said in his thing. Everything the Buddha taught is an illusion in Samsara. It's just an illusion. This one's happy and that one's happy and the world is happy and I'm unhappy. It's an illusion. If you're unhappy, wow, you have the best circumstances of your life to change. When you haven't got everything you want, you've got the best circumstances, the opportunity, open portal to unity. The harder it is, the more opportunity you've got. It's really important that you understand that, and that somewhere in your life, if you really need to have someone to help point out to you what your true nature is, you'll find it. So this comparison between this Bardo of this life and the Bardo, the third Bardo of becoming, let's just go through the Bardos very, very briefly. This is the Bardo of your life. It also has the second Bardo within it, the Bardo of dreams. That's a whole Bardo in itself. That if you choose to wake up in your dreams, that can be a very productive time, your sleep state. It's when you can learn. It's when, Richard, you can ask before you go to sleep, I would like to see my previous Bardo of becoming. I would like to go there. I would like to see my previous life. I would like to see, what did I do? How did I get here? I'd like to have some background. You can ask that in the Bardo of dreams. Then there's the Bardo of meditation in your Bardo of life. That's the third Bardo. Then after that, we won't go into that. After that comes the first afterlife Bardo, the Bardo of dying. Now, in that time, when all the elements dissolve, first the outer elements, all the outer element, earth, water, fire, etc., space, all dissolve. Then the inner elements, everything that kept you alive from the father and the mother, come together. And then in that moment, there is an optimal moment for recognition at that point when it's all dissolved. Why? Why is there an optimal moment? Because the whole human consciousness, bar the alaya, which has got all your imprints, the 8th level, but the 7 levels, all your sense consciousness, your mind consciousness that labels everything, your emotional consciousness, which says, I like this, I don't like this I don't want, this I want more of. All of that is dead. So what happens when you die? It's so amazing. All your negative emotions are gone in that moment. Because when all the human consciousness dies, all the emotions die. So there's a whole gap after you die in which you don't even feel your negative and positive emotions. You just are in a quite neutral space which can recognize who you really are. But the minute you come into the Bardo of becoming, the third one, that's when all those emotional things and karmic imprints are regenerated. You don't feel them at first, in the first 2 Bardos in the afterlife. In the second Bardo afterlife, that's when the true, when you leave your body at first after death, that's when you have a chance to really liberate yourself into your pure essence. Very few people can do that. Why? Because we're not trained. But nevertheless, that's the Dharmakaya level for those of you that can understand that. Then the next Bardo is where the pure expression of the essence comes before your eyes. It's who you are. Now, I'm teaching on a Monday morning, and you can all go and listen to the 100 deities, because that's what you're seeing in the second Bardo. And if you recognize, they're very loud sounds, they're very loud noises, they're very, very amazing rays and lights. It's quite scary to people, and lots of people faint. They can't see it, and they don't recognize. A lot of you who've done a lot of this, and go back to my Monday mornings I'm doing now, you'll find it very interesting after all of this. If you recognize, know, you are liberated into Sambhokakaya level, the pure colored expression of your essence. If you don't recognize anything, into the Bardo of becoming. And then all the stuff is regenerated again. And then you're in a mental body. Now think about a mental body, because we can go on discussing it. I'm very happy to sort of have discussions and everything next week as well. In a physical body, in the Bardo between birth and death, this life, you can really hide all your feelings. You can hide all your stuff. You can pretend, as we're just talking about, Kati. But in the Bardo of becoming, the mental body is formed. How is it formed? Then I'm going to take you into meditation. How is it formed? The mental body is formed because the elements that made you up as a baby when you were born, those elements have dissolved, and now the elements come in a reverse way and form a mental body. And the mental body can be very scary because whatever you think appears. If you think, oh my goodness, I'm missing my family, I wonder where they are, you're back with them, but they can't see you. If you think, I wonder what my previous life was like, you're back there, Richard. So beware, don't ask for what you don't want, because your mental body will do absolutely anything and everything, okay? Because in a mental body, you are unstable because everything is in front of you. All your karmic imprints are in front of you. All your negative habits are in front of you. And in fact, because of the winds in us, we see them sometimes as a anger, as a rainstorm. You know, we see all the various weather things in front of us according to how we've been. So it can be really, really, really scary for people in their third bardo. But the good news about the bardo, if you are sitting in that bardo and you are really having a hard time, okay, and then you think, am I just going to be whooshed into an incarnation and have all the same stuff again? If one of you even thinks, you know, I remember a talk Melanie gave. It might have been 20 years ago. A lot of you won't be dying yet, okay? But I remember that talk. And she said in that talk, it's possible still to save yourself in this bardo, even if you're in a mental body, and even if you're in a pickle, and even if you've got negative things. All you have to do is just sit and be in touch with your true nature and not go the way of the impelling consciousness. You have the ability, those of you that know, for example, Guru Rinpoche's 7-line prayer. If you start reciting that 7-line prayer, if you sit stably and you sit mindfully and you start reciting that prayer, call out to whoever you want. Don't go the way of the impelling consciousness. You can still be relieved. If some of you who do Chenrezi practice remember the David Chen's song, which I know off by heart, and if you know it off by heart, Kathy, you definitely know it off by heart, you just start singing Emma Ho, and you sing the whole of David Chen's song. You'll surely be transported there. You still can go to a pure land where you can still fix all your stuff without going into rebirth and starting the whole process again. I want to do this in more detail for you. You all look tired now. Too many things to remember. But just remember, you can rescue yourself from there. It's really important for you to remember. Everywhere where you are falling into the hole of your negative karmic imprints, you get another chance to clear this every time, no matter how bad, no matter how harmful. Is that good enough news, Rowan? You got a little smile after that. You always get another chance. Just don't get waylaid with all this stuff here. Start moving, start giving, start feeling, start awakening. Let's do a meditation. Sorry, Jay. And then you can all go to sleep and you can ask in your sleep state. to be helped. So imagine you are now in a mental body in the third Bardo of becoming. The mental body is created by the elements arising in reverse order from the way they dissolved at death. Air from space, fire from air, water from fire, earth from water. They create a mental body which is determined by the karmic imprints or tendencies in our alaya consciousness. And these impressions create patterns which tend towards certain modes of existence, characteristics, and environments. In other words, we will be attracted to whatever we have become. Now, I want you to be in that Bardo of becoming now. You miss the Bardo of dying. You miss the Bardo of Dharmata, of reality, seeing yourself in your pure forms. And you've landed up in the Bardo of becoming. Some people don't even know they've died. So they go back. Some people even try and go back to their bodies. They try and go back to their families. They try and go back because they can't accept that they've died. But I want you to imagine that you know you've died and you know you've missed the first two bardos of liberating yourself. And now you are seeing from your mental body some of the karma, some of the fluidity of appearances like a moving movie, continually changing pics. Have a look at your life now. See what it is. With unstable mind, the mental body experiences unpredictability from one moment to the next. Defy that, everybody. Remember that in this Bardo, you can sit with perfect stillness, surrendering to your beautiful, beautiful nature of mind. Just be in touch with your Rigpa, your nature of mind, your Semni, your pure essence. And in this Bardo, do not get waylaid by all the pictures you are seeing in your mental body. Allow yourself the spaciousness to remember. If I want to, I can still get to a pure land. I can still get, I'm closing the womb door. I'm not going to catapult into a womb. I'm going to think about the beings that I love in the Dharma. I'm going to call upon them. I'm going to say the prayers. I'm going to say the mantras. I'm going to ask that I may go to a pure land and end all of these things and give service and be able to be in the clear light. So that's what you're doing in this Bardo. And because you're doing that, the whole Bardo changes. It's still, it's pure. The noises are not harsh. The pictures you see are all delusions, illusions, illusory pictures. Let them dissolve. Find yourself in a state of peace and total awareness. I know this is temporary. I know this is transient. I know that I'm in a mental body which seems to distort everything, but it's all okay. I can still close the womb door and go to the pure lands. feel it in your being. Feel it in all your bones of your body. And those of you that don't know too much about this, make it your business to learn, to study, to meditate, to awaken in your dream state, to learn from whoever, however, to know that you are so much more than these pictures in the third Bardo. They are just illusory pictures. I am not going to fall into the hole of the trap that they seem to be. I am not going to use fear, false evidence appearing real. I am going to just sit stably and examine whatever is in front of me and let it all dissolve. And I'm going to sing my beautiful song of Devachan, and I'm going to say my 7-line prayer to Guru Rinpoche. I'm going to say my Om Mani Padme Hum mantra, whatever you love, and get in touch. And then you won't be swept away in this Bardo in any manner of means. Most of you will probably find that you can go to the light before this Bardo arrives. So just to end, we are comparing in this series, and we're going to do some more next week, and you can ask all your questions. The first Bardo between birth and death, with the final Bardo of becoming the third Bardo in the afterlife. They are similar. They have similarities, except in the first one you can hide, and in the last one you can't. But both of them, you're able to make yourself free if you really understand this. It's very important. Even if you just do a practice of Chenrezi, of the medicine Buddha, of Tara, you can free yourself right then and there, because these are your true qualities. The habitual patterns are not your true qualities. They're just things you have concocted over the lifetimes, nothing more. They can dissolve very, very easily. But your true nature of mind never dissolves. Make that contact now. If you ask me, how do I do that? Go and sit in nature. Just breathe into the spaciousness of your true nature. Really, it's blue in color. When I've seen it, it's so blue. The blue is as vivid, as much more vivid than the sky. It's open. It's spacious. It's emptiness, which means full of possibility. Just go and sit in a garden somewhere and breathe in your true nature. Slowly you will find that you are there exactly in touch with the day after day, and it will help you so much. Why? Because it is cognizant, it is aware, it knows the traps, it knows the habits, it knows everything. You just need to stay in touch. I'm saying up there, but it's really in your heart. So what we'll do next week is we'll just do a little more detail on the Bardo of becoming, and I'll leave lots of time for questions. I've got some beautiful stories. I didn't even tell you about them. I'll just tell you the blackbird. A blackbird found a large piece of food in the village and lit out into the sky with the food in its beak. A flock of his brothers chased after him and raucously attacked the food, pulling it from his beak. The blackbird finally let go of the last piece, and the frenzied flock left him alone. The bird swooped and dived and thought, I have lost the food, but I have regained the peaceful sky. Lose all your attachments and regain the peaceful sky. Any of you can text me. I want to do this a little more detailed, the Bardo becoming, but lots of questions, lots of discussion. I want you to get it for yourself, to feel it inside you. That's the important thing. Like Kathy with your new job. It's like, what a wonderful opportunity of spaciousness, of not having a really, really raucous, ugly person who doesn't like you every day, of having a chance to do things in a different way. What a wonderful thing. Means you've learned the lessons, you're moving on. So move on and experience it with great joy. And always remember your offering. All of you. Whatever you want, offer something. And then you'll find amazing things. She's so happy for you, Ika. Okay, so let's dedicate Ika, if that's okay. You've done so well with the prayers. I'm proud of you. Okay, so we are dedicating to all those caught in the wars, all those caught in terrible, terrible things. We're dedicating, if there's any merit or of anything, we're dedicating it. Through this merit, may all beings obtain omniscience, may all obscurations fall away from the stormy waves of birth, old age, sickness, and death. From the ocean of samsara, may all beings be freed. Sonam die tamche zipane topne nepe tranam pamshene jeganachi balak tropaye sipe sole doa dro warsho. So